Welcome to the Oracle GoldenGate YouTube video series. Oracle GoldenGate is the industry's premier multi-cloud technology for building real-time data fabrics, data mesh, and data replication solutions. With class-leading, high-throughput, and extremely low-latency streaming data, Oracle GoldenGate is in a league of its own. Thousands of customers in over 180 countries globally trust GoldenGate with their most important data, and GoldenGate is consistently rated as a top leader for data integration and enterprise data fabrics. One key reason that GoldenGate is one of the most successful integration tools in history is the consistent innovation over more than 20 years. GoldenGate has notched many industry firsts for modern event-driven streaming data solutions. Oracle GoldenGate is first and foremost known for its data event capabilities, including long-time leadership for data high availability, transaction replication, and change data capture. More recently, since 2015, the most successful areas of GoldenGate have been in the areas of data pipelines and stream analytics. Modern technology solutions demand real-time data ingestion, streaming ETL for low latencies, and best-of-breed analytics on data in motion. GoldenGate delivers modern time series analysis in a no-code development package with enterprise-class data governance, including best-in-class data security, data verification, and a rich metadata catalog. Another reason that GoldenGate is so successful is that it is truly a tool for all enterprises, supporting a huge variety of common databases, applications, NoSQL data stores, clouds, and messaging systems in a powerful low-latency data fabric. GoldenGate's modern microservices architecture is the foundation of real-time data events for the event-driven business. With an easy-to-use browser-based user interface and available cloud services for just pennies per hour, there's nothing stopping you from realizing the future today. Try GoldenGate for free, follow this link for more information. And now, onwards to the video you came for.
Okay, so hello everybody, and actually hello from a beautiful spring evening in Istanbul, and welcome to my home office room. My name is Dennis, and I'm the product manager for GoldenGate for Big Data, and I will be your host today for the GoldenGate for Big Data session during the next 45 minutes. So I will just try to keep myself as energetic as possible. It's like a kind of like evening here, but don't worry, I already had a Turkish coffee a few minutes ago, and hopefully it will help me with the energy that I have. So what we are going to do today, we are going to have a look at a couple of things. So first of all, we are going to have an overview of GoldenGate for Big Data. We are going to have a look at the use cases and the popular target technologies that we are using, and then we are going to have a look at what's new in GoldenGate for Big Data 21C, and also I will have a touch base with the microservices architecture. I guess you will hear it a lot today about microservices architecture, and I will try to cover it from the GoldenGate for Big Data perspective. I will be talking about couple of the deployment options that we have for GoldenGate in general and GoldenGate for Big Data. And then I will just highlight some of the new sources and targets that we have in GoldenGate for Big Data 21C. And then we are going to be closing with a short product roadmap update. And also I'm planning to do a short demonstration as well with the GoldenGate for Big Data. So let's start. Before getting into more details, actually, I just want to start with the common use cases that we see in GoldenGate for Big Data. I mean, in the later slides, you're going to see that we are supporting actually many different technologies. So as we support many different technologies, we also support many different use cases among our customers. But these three are the most popular that we see among them. And I would definitely say that streaming ingest is the #1 use case that we see among our customers. And I saw that 47 of the answers to the polling question was mentioning that they were using Kafka. And already before this session, there were a couple of questions around GoldenGate for Big Data and Kafka. So in general, streaming ingest has its own use cases, but the differentiation for GoldenGate for Big Data is that we know that our GoldenGate customers actually, they expect the ACID capabilities in the technologies that they adopt. But on the other hand, we know that messaging systems like Kafka, they are not ACID by themselves. So what we are doing with the Golden Gate is that we are extending the ACID nature of the change data transactions into streaming platforms by enriching messages with source metadata, by tracking schema changes, and by performing rollback operations. So, for example, one of the Golden Gate customers from the online payment industry business, they're using Golden Gate and Golden Gate for Big Data for triggering payment confirmation messages. So what they're doing is that once the payment transaction commit is completed in the core system, Golden Gate captures the transaction and sends that to Golden Gate for Big Data. And through Golden Gate for Big Data, that message delivered into Kafka, which triggers a payment complete message sent through the payment application user interface. Another common use case that we are seeing among our customers is the data lake, Delta Lake, and like data lake house streaming ingest. And again, I saw that around 25% of our customers were mentioning that they already adopted Snowflake and Azure Data Lake, and I would consider these technologies as a part of the data lakehouse technology. So we are providing real-time streaming ingest into these technologies, and apart from those, we also support Azure Synapse, Google Cloud Storage, and other popular data lakehouse technologies. And the last one that I want to mention here is actually the stream data processing. So in Golden Gate for Big Data, so yesterday, Alex Kotopoulos, he was presenting and demonstrating Golden Gate Stream Analytics, and he was actually showing you how you can make the value out of your data by applying like real-time transformations or by adding real-time enrichments to your data. So what we did is we bundled Golden Gate Stream Analytics together with the Golden Gate for Big Data. So once you acquire the Golden Gate for Big Data license, you will also get the use of Golden Gate Stream Analytics as well. And we have actually customers doing that. So they're using Golden Gate for Big Data with Golden Gate Stream Analytics for real-time marketing, for location tracking, for fraud detection, and for real-time data transformations. So this location tracking is also quite interesting, as we have the geospatial analytics embedded into Golden Gate Stream Analytics. And I know that we have customers using this capability for tracking their like location of the trucks or ships or etc., etc. And I just want to continue actually with one of the customer cases that we have. And unfortunately, I cannot share the name because we are under an NDA agreement with the customer, but the use case is really interesting. So that's why I wanted to share it with you. And yesterday, during the yesterday's session, there was a question. I can't really remember who was asking, but someone was asking if we can capture from base 24 and replicate into Kafka with Golden Gate. And the answer is a big yes to that question. And that's what this customer actually from India is doing. So what they're doing is that they're collecting their transactional data from their core banking system. So they're listening to base 24 application. They're collecting the ATM data. They are collecting the data from POS devices and their payment gateways. And then what they're doing is that they're using Golden Gate for nonstop for capturing that data, and they send those transactions into Golden Gate for Big Data, which delivers them into a Kafka cluster. And from that Kafka cluster, using that Golden Gate Stream Analytics, they're enriching the data. They are just like removing the duplicates. So they are using the duplicate detection from Golden Gate Stream Analytics. And they're also applying some time series and machine learning algorithms on the real time, on the data on the go. And for the transactions which fulfills the business requirements or business rules, they just like push those messages into their real-time marketing environment, which is connected to an email and SMS gateway. And then they send the offers, the marketing offers to the customers through these SMS and email gateways. And they're also using GoldenGate Stream Analytics for transactional log monitoring. So all those things that I'm been mentioning in the last 2 minutes actually in real life happening in very few seconds. So it's a very powerful architecture, and well, as they are one of the largest banks in APAC, I know that they're using this architecture with millions of different customers. So let's continue with some more details around GoldenGate for Big Data. And again, we were seeing some questions coming around which technologies GoldenGate for Big Data is supporting today. And here, actually, I tried to group all the sources, targets that we are supporting today with GoldenGate for Big Data. And I would like to start from sources, because you can see that like for this field, I mean, we just like highlight, I mean, not highlighted, but we just shadowed with this red box. And these are separately priced sources. So it means that if you are extracting your transactions from an Oracle database or from a non-Oracle transactional database, meaning if you're using GoldenGate for Oracle or GoldenGate for non-Oracle, those modules are like priced separately. And just on top of that, you also see these like kind of like highlighted sources. And these are the native sources that we are supporting in GoldenGate for Big Data, meaning that, so today with the GoldenGate for Big Data 21.5, you can use it for capturing from Cassandra, from Apache Kafka, as well as Kafka Connect and MongoDB Atlas. So this is actually quite interesting, and this is, well, relatively a newer functionality for GoldenGate for Big Data. And in the roadmap, you're going to see that we are planning to add more sources for GoldenGate for Big Data. And in the upcoming slides, I'm going to be sharing more details about how we are capturing from Apache Kafka or Confluent, Kafka Connect, and also from MongoDB and Atlas. When we look at the targets, we are supporting literally more than 25 targets today. So we are supporting different targets on OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, Kafka itself, Snowflake, Hadoop, etc., etc. And we are just working on to enrich this list more and more. And on top of all these native handlers, so all the connectors that you see here listed, they are native in GoldenGate for Big Data. And along with them, we also provide JMS and JDBC. So this is also important because we have customers, especially using JDBC for connecting to their target systems. And we can commonly see that our customers are using GoldenGate for Big Data JDBC to deliver their transactions or to deliver their data into SAP HANA. So if you're interested in that, you can just like drop a message in Q&A. We have a documentation and we can share it with you. And one last thing that I want to mention here are the formatters. So actually, I mean, I can say that. So I was mentioning here, we have this more than 25 connectors. And with the formatters, actually, you can just like multiply this combination. So these formatters, they are used to convert operations from the Oracle GoldenGate trail files into a formatted message that you can send to big data targets. And we can use these formatters for converting into Avro, delimited tags, JSON, XML, and Parquet. So what you can do is, so let's assume that you captured from an Oracle database and you want to load your transaction into Google Cloud, but you want to load it in the Parquet format. So in that case, what you would do is you would use the Parquet formatter together with the Google Cloud Storage handler. So that's why I was mentioning that you can just like, well, multiply the native connectors with the formatters that we have. And of course, the streaming, the GoldenGate streaming analytics that I was already mentioning. So as I mentioned, it is bundled with a GoldenGate for Big Data, and you can use GoldenGate Stream Analytics for real-time data transformation, for alerts and notifications, and for applying your business rules in real time, for time series and geospatial analysis and like more of the use cases that we have with GoldenGate Stream Analytics. All right, so some water, sorry. GoldenGate for Big Data 21C. Actually, this is like more like what is new in GoldenGate for Big Data 21C. What I can say that GoldenGate for Big Data 21C is a major release actually for us. So it's kind of like a milestone because with GoldenGate for Big Data 21C, we introduced microservices architecture into GoldenGate for Big Data as well. And I just want to mention that this is the same microservices architecture that Alex Lima was mentioning in his session. It comes with the REST. It comes with the same REST APIs and the new web user-based interface with the admin client, which is the command line interface similar to GGSCI. And GoldenGate for Big Data microservices uses the same core GoldenGate for Big Data, meaning you can use the same configurations and properties with the same source and targets supported. So from the core technical perspective, there are no changes between GoldenGate for Big Data Classic and GoldenGate for Big Data microservices architecture. The other thing is that with microservices architecture, again, as mentioned by Alex as well, we improved the security features, and especially for cloud and distributed architectures. In most of the GoldenGate for Big Data implementations, there is a source GoldenGate deployment. It might be either GoldenGate for Oracle or non-Oracle, and it captures the data from your source database, and a delivery deployment where you run your GoldenGate for Big Data for writing into your target system. And the communication between these different deployments are managed by distribution and receiver services using SSL to encrypt the trail files while transferring them through the network. And also, I think it was again Alex mentioning that you can also use WebSocket secured services to provide the security in the distribution and receiver services. The other thing that I want to mention is that with GoldenGate for Big Data 21C, we have introduced new sources and targets for big data as well, and you can just see them listed here. So with the GoldenGate for Big Data 21C, we are supporting Kafka Capture, MongoDB Capture, Snowflake, Stage and Merge, Autonomous JSON, Google BigQuery Stage and Merge, Google Cloud Storage, Azure Blob Storage, and Azure Synapse Analytics. And I will be deep diving in some of these handlers later today during the session. And one last thing that I want to mention, well, this is personally quite actually important for me as well. We released a small utility called Dependency Downloader. So, I mean, if you are familiar with GoldenGate, so the way GoldenGate for Big Data works is that it uses the third-party dependency libraries for various target integrations. So, for example, if you want to, I don't know, like connect into Google BigQuery, you have to download the libraries for Google BigQuery. And you can imagine that managing the versions of open source projects is not an easy task, as the client jars must match the client versions. And before GoldenGate for Big Data 21C, we were providing list of the client dependencies in the product documentation, and they were downloaded by the end users. So Dependency Downloader is a utility that downloads all the dependency libraries for you. It's a set of shell scripts that searches for artifacts in Apache Maven, downloads them for you, and packages them in a GoldenGate for Big Data deployment. So in your replicate, you can reference to those libraries, and you can easily get connected to your GoldenGate for Big Data target. So let's continue. Okay, so as I mentioned in one of the earlier slides, I also want to cover some highlights from the microservices perspective. And Again, as I mentioned, the microservices architecture that we have in the GoldenGate for big data is the same as we have in GoldenGate for Oracle and GoldenGate for non-Oracle. So we can have a service manager, and I'm saying we can have, and I will mention why in a couple of minutes. And there will be 4 different services running as well. So we're going to have the same admin service where you configure your extract and replicate. We're going to have the distribution and the receiver services, which will help you to receive trail files from the other deployments, either GoldenGate for Oracle or non-Oracle. And we have the GoldenGate metrics server if you want to monitor what's happening in your GoldenGate big data environment. So, and we provide the same REST APIs and the proxy support and all the other microservices functionalities that we are supporting. And distribution service and receiver service, they are actually quite important, especially for GoldenGate for big data, because it will help them to exchange your trail files between different GoldenGate deployments. And if you are interested in GoldenGate microservices architecture, and most probably you are, I just left the link here, and there's a recording made by Werner from our team, and he really gives a really good deep dive into microservices architecture over a 1-hour recording, and you can check it later on as well. Okay, so I mean, already Alex mentioned about the advantages of using a microservices architecture, and I did as well. So it is more secure, you get a better performance, it has a simpler lifecycle management. But I think from our side, the most important thing is that, again, as mentioned by Alex, it's our strategic direction for all the GoldenGate solutions that we have. And it's the same for GoldenGate for big data. So classic architecture is deprecated with GoldenGate for big data 21C, but terminal release has not been decided yet. Meaning you can use GoldenGate for big data with microservices architecture 21C, but you will still be able to see the classic architecture in the downloads for GoldenGate for big data builds. And what I want to highlight here is that with this slide, our recommendation is that if you are new into GoldenGate for big data, we recommend you to start with GoldenGate for big data microservices architecture so that in the future you don't have to deal with the migration path. But if you're already on the GoldenGate for big data classic architecture, you can migrate into the GoldenGate for big data microservices architecture using the migration utility. So this is the same utility Volker was demonstrating just before my session. And you can use the same utility to migrate from GoldenGate for big data 19C classic into 21C microservices architecture. I was mentioning that, well, I a couple of times mentioned that you can send your trail files from one deployment, from your source deployment into your GoldenGate for big data deployment. And we actually have different ways of doing it, and they all have their own advantages. So in this one, what we can do is we can run our source deployment, which might be, again, GoldenGate for Oracle, non-Oracle, in the same data center with the GoldenGate for big data. And still, you need to use the distribution service and the receiver service to exchange the trail files between different deployments. But you can just keep everything in the same data center, and the same way you can write your targets, big data targets, in the same data center. So that might be an approach. Another approach might be keeping your source GoldenGate deployment and your target GoldenGate for the big data deployment in the same data center. And by the way, that same data center might be in your own on-prem data center or on OCI, and you can remotely deliver into your targets on cloud or your on-prem system. But in this scenario, you also have to watch out for the network latency. So if you're interested in such an architecture, you can just contact us and we can discuss in more details. And the other option that we see, and it is also adopted by our customers, they're deploying their source GoldenGate deployment in their source data center. So in the data center where they have their source databases, and they're deploying the GoldenGate for big data in their target environment. And it might be actually, again, another data center in on-prem, or it might be any cloud, literally. So you can just install GoldenGate for big data on Oracle Cloud, or on Azure, or on AWS, on a VM, and you can easily deliver to one of the targets supported by GoldenGate for big data. And again, in this architecture, we're going to be using the distribution service and the receiver service. But as I mentioned, again, all the communication is going to be encrypted here through a secure WebSocket connectivity. Okay, mentioning those deployment options, now I want to provide some more information about kind of like what you have to do and how we can help with that. So here you see actually three different deployment options: on-prem and third-party cloud. So I consider them the same because like you have to do the tasks that you have to do, that you have to cover is the same. And then the second option might be using the OCI Marketplace. And by the way, if you're not familiar with OCI Marketplace, it's a common like a marketplace location where we, Oracle, and our partners publish their applications. And the third option is OCI GoldenGate Big Data. By the way, we have not released it, so it is coming soon. And Dennis Gray was announcing it in his session yesterday as well. So if you compare the tasks that you have to cover and what we cover for you, like you can see the differences actually easily. If you're running OCI GoldenGate Big Data, which is the cloud native for OCI GoldenGate Big Data, we will be covering the platform service tasks on top of infrastructure management. So you can easily, you will be actually easily deploy your, start your deployment, OCI GoldenGate Big Data deployment, and configure your extract and replicate processes. If you're running it from OCI Marketplace, we are going to be covering the infrastructure management. So by the way, the images that we provide here, they are pre-configured, and you can just execute them through a Terraform stack automation. But still, you have to manage the operating system administration, private endpoints, etc., etc. And in an on-prem world or in a third-party cloud deployment, you have to manage all these tasks. So again, I just want to re-announce the upcoming availability of OCI GoldenGate Big Data and OCI GoldenGate non-Oracle database deployment options. And we are going to be providing a limited availability program for these services. If you're interested in those services, you can either let us know in the Q&A, or you can just get in touch with your sales reps, and we can make sure that you can participate in this program. Okay, I'm just watching the time in the meantime, and time is already flying. So let's get into some of the new sources and targets that we are supporting with GoldenGate for big data. And I just want to...
Hey, Dennis, sorry to interrupt there. Yeah, I was keeping an eye on the time as well. And I've got a suggestion for you. Why don't we go through this section all the way to the end, and what we can do is, instead of doing the demo for GCP BigQuery, we'll just hand off to Julian when you're finished up, and then we can talk a little bit about how similar the Snowflake and BigQuery stage merge capabilities are. That way, we'll just knock it down to the one demo. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, fine. That's totally fine, Jeff. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, appreciate it. These are good. This is a great section to dive into some exciting topics with all the new sources and targets. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, great. So let's start with the Kafka Capture side. And well, basically, okay, so we used to support Kafka as a target for a long time, and as far as I remember, we used to support Kafka from the early versions of GoldenGate for Big Data. But with the GoldenGate for Big Data 21C, we released the Kafka Capture functionality. So what Kafka Capture does basically is that it extracts messages from Kafka and converts them into a change record that will be written into trail files. And once the change record is in the trail file, it can be distributed to any GoldenGate supported target systems. And I know that like we had customers asking for this functionality for various use cases. And one of the use cases that we were seeing demanded was the connectivity to the SaaS applications, because most of the SaaS applications, they are providing Kafka producer functionalities. And what we can do with the GoldenGate for Big Data Kafka Capture is that we can just like connect to those SaaS environments with the GoldenGate for Big Data Kafka Capture, which is actually the consumer for those messages. And we can just like write them into trail files, and then you can distribute them into, I don't know, like MongoDB for NoSQL database or data lakes, or into a database, or you can just store them in your storage for deep dive analytics. So some more details around Kafka Capture. So Kafka Capture can read from one or more actually topics, and each topic can have one or more partitions. And messages from a topic and partition is written to a trail files in the Kafka, and they are written in the commit log order. But the thing is that, well, because of the nature of the Kafka, if you're capturing from multiple topics and multiple partitions, the order is going to be non-deterministic. The other thing is that GoldenGate for Big Data Capture uses a Kafka consumer properties file for setting the connection to different Kafka producers. And if you just like enable the converters in your properties file, it will connect to Kafka Connect, and it can just like consume our messages or other supported Kafka message types. And the other thing actually I want to highlight here is the security options that we are providing with Kafka Capture. So you can use SSL and TLS and SASL connectivity into the Kafka producers from your GoldenGate for Big Data Kafka Capture. Okay, so let's continue. The other highlight that I want to share is the MongoDB Capture, and I think this is one of the freshest technologies that we are supporting with GoldenGate for Big Data 21C. We literally released it almost like 2 weeks ago, but we already have early adopter customers using MongoDB Capture to migrate from their MongoDB environment into autonomous JSON database, which is the NoSQL database on OCI. So with MongoDB Capture, we are actually supporting basin and extended JSON types, message types, and you can capture from like all the popular MongoDB versions, including the latest MongoDB 5. And we also support MongoDB Atlas, so the cloud version of MongoDB, but we are supporting the dedicated version. And one just like maybe some technical highlights if you are interested. We are reading these oplog files in the MongoDB, and these oplog files, they are actually created if you configure your replica sets within your MongoDB environments. And as you just like insert messages in your MongoDB system or data sets, those messages will be written into oplogs as well, and we will be capturing those messages from these oplogs, and we will just write them into a trail file, and from those trail files you can literally deliver them into any GoldenGate for Big Data supported technology. And the other handler or other connectivity that I want to mention is the GCP BigQuery stage and merge. So again, referring to the first pooling that we were triggering earlier in this session, we saw, if I remember correct, around 25% of the customers mentioning that they're using GoldenGate GCP BigQuery as a big data platform. So we recently released this stage and merge architecture or stage and merge delivery into GCP BigQuery. And again, what you can do is you can capture your transaction from one of the GoldenGate supported technologies and write into Google Cloud GCP BigQuery target tables. And the way it works is that, by the way, it's a single handler. So you just have to configure your Google BigQuery stage and merge handler, but in the background, it will handle and it will execute different operations. So it will pick up the source transactions from a trail file and convert them into a file. And then using the GCS event handlers, it will load these messages into Google Cloud storage. And from Google Cloud Storage, we are going to be executing merge SQL operations. So these are kind of like micro batches. And we are going to be inserting into your Google BigQuery target table with these micro batch operations. And the biggest advantage of using this stage and merge replication is that you will have a single truth of data, both in your source and target system. Meaning that, these systems like GCP BigQuery or Snowflake or Redshift, they are not really designed for operational transactions. And with these stage and merge handlers or stage and merge technology, you can still keep the same row for a specific key, and you can update the operations on the same row with the same key, and so that the end user is going to be able to see the latest status of the data. So that's one of the advantages. And the other advantage of using the stage and merge is the performance. Because again, we know that GCP BigQuery, Redshift, or Snowflake, or other cloud native data warehouses, they are not really designed for operational workloads. They are more designed for batch operations. And as we are using micro batches to load into these systems, including GCP BigQuery, we increase the delivery performance with the stage and merge technology. And we also support initial load into GCP BigQuery environment. So you can just enable this functionality in your replicate, and you can do your initial load from your source system into GCP BigQuery. And one last thing that I want to mention about GCP BigQuery is that it also has a functionality to auto-create datasets and tables in your target GCP BigQuery environment. So let's assume that you don't have a dataset defined, you don't have a table defined, and setting the properties true for auto dataset and auto table creation, you can get these datasets and table created automatically for you in your GCP BigQuery environment directly by the Google BigQuery stage and merge handler itself. And by the way, we recommend you to create the datasets and the target tables before you start the replication process, but we also provide this auto creation functionality. And the other thing is, the other handler is the Snowflake stage and merge, and I was also referring to Snowflake for a couple of times already, but I'm not going to get into details with the Snowflake because Julian, right after my session, is going to deliver a deep dive session into Snowflake stage and merge, and he will be also delivering a demonstration showing how you can replicate into Snowflake with the stage and merge architecture that we're providing in GoldenGate for big data.